what foundation can we give to people who are trying to figure out positive affirmations? Like what's the first thing that you would say if I'm like, listen, Trev, I'm lost. I don't really know what I want right now. I don't know where I'm headed right now. Like, what would you tell me in terms of something that I can say positive about myself, or where do I start?
I would say, welcome everybody to the Dream Lifestyle podcast. In this conversation, we are going to be talking about the power of affirmations. We're going to be talking about why your words matter, because your words do have power. We're going to be talking about how to effectively create affirmations for yourself. And we're going to be talking about what happens if you don't create affirmations for yourself. So it's going to be a really dope conversation. And of course, to have this conversation, I have my brother David is back here on the pod.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate being here, man. This was a great experience last time. So let's kick it off right.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, look, let's just jump right into it. You know, affirmations. I think people undervalue and underestimate just how effective affirmations can be for their lives, because, you know, we can go biblical, but just on a practical level, it really is important what you say to yourself. Right. So in your mind, in your experience, like, what's your thoughts on just affirmations?
So when it comes to affirmations, for me, I think the most important thing is positivity, first and foremost. So understand, like, what is it that, what state am I in? What situation am I in? What is my goal? And know how to pour the right positivity into it. You got to be able to kind of look at the blank page and be able to put different ideas out there to figure out what sticks to what I want in life and what I'm trying to achieve. That's how you kind of determine which affirmations work for you.
Yeah, I like how you put that, because it sounds like that we should be reflecting on just what is on that, we'll say, roller coaster wheel, like what's on the hamster wheel of our thoughts, right? Evaluating those thoughts with where we want to be. Right. I think that's so important, because every single day we have a conversation with ourselves. Like, yes, we have conversations with family, coworkers, and everyone externally, but every single day there is a conversation happening up here in our minds. Right. You know, and it's important that we evaluate, okay, is this conversation in line with where I want to go?
So I want to jump in there, because you need to know what is for you and what is against you, because not every thought that you have is your own thought.
Yes.
So we need to understand, and that comes with alignment in God and prayer and everything like that. You need to understand, like, what thought is of God and what thought is of the enemy, because the enemy is going to send off those discouraging affirmations, like, oh, like, you know, you can't do this. Right. You know, you're not strong enough for this. You know that you can't handle this, what lies ahead.
Yeah, this is why you can't do anything, right? Because for me, I personally deal with this. Like, if anyone that ever wanted to know, like, what I deal, like, this is an area that I deal with, and it's an area that I intentionally fight against every single time, because that's one of the lies that the devil tries to throw at me is, well, this is why it didn't work. Of course, you're not good enough. Like, I hear that every single time. And I think, even to add, I believe there's always three voices we hear: God's voice, the devil's voice, and our own thoughts. Like, I think I think our own thoughts, like, that's the part that everyone misses. Like, they just think, oh, well, it's God speaking to me and it's the devil speaking to me. You know, what is it on the shoulders? Like, the devil and the angel.
And it's funny, because we're naturally born to kind of have somebody speak for us.
Yes.
Like, we're raised that way. Like, oh, you're sitting at dinner, you're out at a restaurant, and the waiter asks, what do you want? Right. You're waiting for your parents to answer for you.
Or you're going to ask the waiter, so, I mean, what's good? What do you like?
But like you said, you cancel out the fact that you have your own voice. Yes. And having your own voice, you make your own decisions. And whatever you speak or whatever decisions you decide to take, or you allow to be taken in your life, is where your direction is going to go.
That's so good. That's so good. Because literally, what you say can change how you feel. What you say can change how you view a situation. And I'm a big thing of just whatever is going to allow you to make better decisions, you should do that. And since we're talking about, the power of affirmation and words, to your point, we all have the power to decide what we say. Now, God's going to say his own thing, and we want God to speak to us. Absolutely. There is nothing worse than when God doesn't speak. Right. But we're also going to have the devil speaking to us as well.
Right.
And so both of those things are out of our control, but we do have the agency, we do have the power to say, okay, this is what I say about me. Right. And it's either going to be in line. And again, I think it's important that people even make the decision there is no gray area with this. Yeah. Either what is being said on your part of the three parts, either what you are saying in your own power and agency is lining up with what God is saying, or it's lining up with what the devil's saying. There is no gray area. There is no feel good. Either it does or it doesn't.
It's all right. So it just came to me because I was reading in the book of Joshua where Joshua is walking and he's coming into, I want to say he's coming into the land of Jericho. And that's where, it says he finds this man yielding a sword and he's like, whose side are you on? And Jesus, well, that's how we interpret it, right?
Yes.
Jesus says neither. Neither. Like, I'm not for you or against you. Like, neither. There is no in between. And it's the same thing that he says in Revelation where he's like, yo, the worst thing is someone that's lukewarm. I want to spit you out of my mouth.
Yes.
And it's the way that we have to think, understanding how it's either you thinking the way that the Lord is thinking or anything else, right? Because even if you're not thinking, oh, this is what the devil would want, this is what the devil's thinking, anything that opposes what the Lord is thinking is against the Lord.
Yes.
So there is no gray area. And to add into it, because you were speaking about whatever you speak is going to happen, the scripture that goes saying, that the power of life and death is concealed within the tongue.
Yep.
So that's true, but that's also over your life, over your goals, your affirmations, right? Whatever you're speaking over your life, whatever you want in life is going to come by speaking it through your tongue.
If you're in the DMV area and you are ambitious, I'm inviting you to the Dreamer Symposium. This is a one-day experience for you to get clear on what you want in the new year. And if you're tired of setting New Year's resolutions without seeing results, this is your solution. This is a proven faith-based experience for you to turn your ambition into action for 2024 success. And all you have to do is get your ticket in the room. So click the button below me and I will see you on December 16th.
Absolutely. And I think too, to go deeper on your point, if there's somebody watching and they're like, all right, cool, I want to align my words with God, right? I want to be on that side. I don't want to be lukewarm.
Right.
You get the language from the Bible. Like, and I think, and again, it's that simple, but we overcomplicate it. Like, you get the language from the Bible. When you read enough Bible, and even if you listen to enough sermons, you know what faith sounds like.
Wow.
Like, there's a certain level, and even like, I'll go a level higher in terms of, I'll take it from the spiritual and just take it more practical. There's a certain language to people that have a abundance mindset. There's a certain language in the way in which people speak when they understand who they are and they understand that power that they have. Right. Like, one of the biggest changes I recently made, I no longer say that I can't afford anything. Like, and it sounds super simple, right? Like, it might be, something on Amazon might be something like quick, like we're not even talking about like a big purchase. And usually it's like, oh, I can't afford that right now. Like, and it's just like something simple, right? It's just like, oh, I don't think much of it. But I started analyzing. I'm like, nah, like, I don't want there to be anything on this earth I can't afford. There's not a single thing on this earth I can't afford. So instead of saying I can't afford it, I just say it's not the right time right now.
Oof. It's not yet.
Yeah, just not yet.
Not yet. And it's funny because even pursuing the NFL or me pursuing real estate or whatever I do, if I haven't reached my goal, it's not going to happen. Or like if somebody's, oh, what do you got to do? I'm like, what? It's just didn't happen yet. It just didn't happen yet. And it's not, I'll never say, and you'll ask my son this too, the word can't.
Nope. That's I'm about to say, yeah, man, thing. Get that word out of here.
It's vile in our household. It's vile because if you say can't, then you can't.
100%.
Whatever you believe is your truth.
Yes.
Like, if you feel like you are not able to do something and then you have the audacity to speak it, well, I believe it too. You know?
You know, one of the things my parents used to always say, specifically my dad, anytime growing up, this is when I'm still learning like that language piece that we're talking about. He would always say, and I said something like negative or something that wasn't a faith. You have what you say. You have what you say. And it would just pause me every single time. Like, oh, like I'd be like, man, like I come home from, oh man, my back is killing me. You have what you say. Ooh, I don't know if all right, hold up.
Yo, but
hold up. My back is sore, but it's not.
well, but
you know,
what did they tell you as a kid though? Like, think before you speak.
yes.
Think before you speak, because we hear it in sermons all the time. You literally have the enemy, you have Satan prowling on you.
Yes.
So whatever you come out is your game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's catching every single thing. Every single thing. Whatever doubt that you have, he's like, oh, okay, so I'm going to use that against him. And it's funny because when you speak certain things, it's almost like how the phones work, that when you start speaking certain things around your phone,
you're gonna catch
all of a
up
sudden
to it.
it pops up on Google.
100%.
It's like, I haven't mentioned this ever.
Yes.
But I spoke it and it popped up because it's watching, it's hearing, right?
Yes.
Same way that he works is that if we're speaking negative things, negative affirmations over our lives, these doubts or these things that we're in fear of, and we're speaking it, you're going to start to see those things start happening in your life. You start to realize, oh, dang, how come nothing's working out? Well, because back then, a couple months ago, you kept saying, yo, nothing's going to work out.
Yes. And to go super spiritual with what you're saying, there is the natural realm and the spiritual realm. What you say has effects in the natural realm, but it occurs first in the spiritual realm. That's just a fact. So you want to make sure, again, what you're saying, you want to make sure, like, Lord, I want to make sure that this is happening the way I need it to, the way that you've called it to in the spiritual realm. So that way, before it even manifests in the natural, like, it's in line with you. Because again, we all have what we say.
So would you say bring it to the safe place first? So like in prayer, where you're safe and you're like, I know I'm in the presence of the Lord, that this is direct pipeline between me and you.
Yes.
Bring it to him first before you decide to go out into the world and start speaking these things.
Because the thing is, God will also give us language if we don't have it. If we don't have language to whatever it is, that thing that we're in faith for, in this case, we're talking about goals and success and stuff. Like, if we don't have the language to be positive about it, or we are in a situation where, God, this does not look likely, you definitely need to bring that language to the secret place first. And now you literally have that conversation with God, and you just say, God, this is me just being honest with you, but I'm also submitted because I'm bringing it to you.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. It seems crazy, but I'm open to it because I know that you're involved in it.
Yes.
And it's kind of like similarity to like Joseph, where he's young and he gets the vision that, y'all gonna bow to me. And although he's a kid, you know what I'm saying? So although he's young and it doesn't come out the right way, he believed it. And by speaking it, what happened?
Yeah. Man.
Hey, they came back. They didn't even recognize him because everything that he went through and what they did to him and everything like that.
Right.
But he believed it. He believed God. And same as Abraham, how it was credited to him as righteousness, like that's the same thing. If you have something that the Lord is putting in your heart and you believe it, and not only believe it, you walk in obedience to it, and you say, yo, I'm not going to deter from this. I'm not going to cancel it out of my life or think that it's not possible or logical, and I'm going to keep moving forward in it. It's credited as righteousness because I believe that as long as the Lord is on my side, there is nothing that he can't bring to pass.
Oh, man, that's so true. That's because even using your Joseph example, Joseph remained dedicated throughout his entire process to what God promised him.
Faithful.
Right? He was faithful to what God had promised him, even though it made no sense, even though, right? Like, because I think people just like look at the Bible and like view them as like very cute stories.
Nice storytelling.
Yeah, but it's like, you got to realize David's brothers threw him into a well, really wanting to kill him. And only one brother said, nah, let's just sell him into slavery.
Right.
Like, I don't think people understand how deep that is.
Bro.
Right?
Bro.
And it's like, if we can go through things, all of us go through stuff, but what Joseph proves is that no matter what we go through, we can go through the deepest pain, but we still have the agency and the power to remain faithful. And we still have the agency and the power to still speak and align our language with whatever God has in store for us.
Right.
Right. Because it leads to our actions.
Right. And even like how you were saying how if as long as you stay faithful, you know, he's going to bring the past. Think about being brought to a place of power as he was when he was accused of rape, right? Being accused of rape in a place of power is like, okay, finally, I'm there.
Yes.
I'm there. I'm breaking through. I'm breaking through. Then something happens. Everybody's been there before.
Absolutely.
Where you feel as though like I done took 10 steps forward, but then, well, in his case, he took like 15 steps back going to prison. Right? But it's such a realistic way of looking at life when you look at these stories and we look at Joseph's story, because if you look at the consistency of these stories, you look at Abraham's, his ups and downs. I was just looking into Jacob and his ups and downs, and you look at David and his ups and downs, and Joseph. If you look at all these people, the main common denominator is resilience.
Yes. And that resilience is shown and seen in your language. Your faith is seen in your language, your resilience, your strength. All of those characteristics can be seen in your words. And so that's why, right, just to really lay foundation of what we're talking about, just the power of affirmations, like who you are is seen through your language.
And it's been funny because a lot of people will look at somebody and they will think like, oh yeah, nah, you're good. You're well off. You're good. You must got money. It's like, nah, like I just believe I do. And if you carry yourself as such, and like you said, you speak as such, then everything else plays its own role. Like people will start to come up to you. They'll gravitate to you because of what you dish off through your words. And you allow God, because of your faith, now you allow God to come into your life and start maneuvering things for you. You can cancel out what God wants to do in your life by doubting it. By believing it can't come to pass, you cancel out everything that God is trying to do in your life, because now if you speak in doubt and you walk in doubt, who's going to have belief in you?
Oh my God. Oh, that's like, good.
Between posture, between how you speak, between how you think and how you carry yourself. Like, do you carry yourself like a king or do you carry yourself like a slave? And not talking servant, talking slave in terms of like being low, right? Do you carry yourself as if you don't belong anywhere, or do you carry yourself like I belong everywhere?
Oof.
If you feel like you belong everywhere, God's going to put you everywhere.
That's good.
But if you feel like you don't belong anywhere,
well, you're not going to go nowhere.
Yeah, you'll find out where you end up. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's very important. That's really helped me in life, and, you know, being with my brother all the time. And we used to have our own lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
But we've learned so much through it, in the confidence and being able to be like, look in the mirror and be like, you know what? Like, God's with you. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. We always say that out of nowhere, something's going to happen. And if you can believe that and you walk every day like that, something's going to happen.
I love how you said that, because what I'm hearing you say is that your language is really an indication of your identity, right? Because, you know, the way in which you speak, to your point, it will either dictate whether you're a king,
right,
or it'll dictate whether you're at the level of slave, in the sense of lowliness and not having anything.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think it's also very important to understand the people who are also around you.
Yes.
Right. Because yes, it starts within, and it starts with your relationship to the Lord or your relationship to the enemy. Right. Because we got to speak on all sides. But then it expands to who's around me, right?
Yes, absolutely. Who is around really does help with your language too. Because like, even on a simple example, right? Like when I did a lot of cursing, I hung around a lot of guys that curse just all the time. Now, part of that just had to deal with the environment I was in, just like in an athletic space. But even just like now that I'm retired and just in a day-to-day space, if you're around a lot of people that do that and speak a certain way, right? Like let's take it just more practical. Like when you're around people that speak a certain way, like you're going to match that language. So if you're around people that speak doubt, if you're around people that speak negativity, if you're around people that just speak worldly and just speak vulgar, like that's what your language is likely to mirror.
And you're gonna start to blend that, right?
Yes.
Because then you make it easy for your flesh to take over. I was thinking about, as you just said that, I was thinking about Solomon's son Rehoboam. And instead of going after the wise counsel that his father had, he, they told him, like, listen, let's lighten the load, because people who love you are willing to serve you forever, right? And then he didn't like that, and that wasn't enticing to him. So he went on his own and said, let me go around my friends. What shall we do?
Yeah.
Right. And now they start saying all this evil, right? Saying, listen, if they think that it's hard now, let's make it worse now. And then all of a sudden now he's thinking that way.
Yeah.
And whatever the people that you surround yourself with, if they're not willing to get with your program, then you need to change the station.
Oh, absolutely. You absolutely have to change the station, and it's intentional, right? It's an intentional decision. And I think to even advance the conversation as we're talking about affirmations and just, really using the power of our words, I think it's important that I'll say it like this. Not everyone is going to have the same affirmations.
Right.
Like one of the most famous frameworks of affirmations are I am statements. I am powerful.
Yeah.
I am strong, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like I don't think
place to start.
Like, right. Like if that is where you're starting with your affirmations, I'm not knocking it. I think it's an amazing spot. Like that I have some I am statements that work for me, but I think it's a matter of evaluating the emotions behind when you say certain things.
Right.
Right. Like for me, when I say I am the head and not the tail, I'm above and not beneath. Like, again, the very basic I am statement, but that statement means something to me.
Ooh, you literally just snatched it off my tongue. You snatched, yeah. I was just about to say, literally, I'm mad right now. Because literally, I was gonna say, listen, it's like you create like a web or a brainstorming web, whatever like that. And we start off with that I am statement. But then, like you said, what does that mean? Let's dig into it. Let's unpeel the onion now.
Yes.
Let's start figuring out the layer. Okay, so I am strong. Well, how are you strong? Why are you strong? What made you strong?
Yeah. What can you do because you're strong?
Or what can make you stronger?
Yeah. Talk about it. Talk about it.
So you look at all these things, you have to really start to unpeel it, right? You have to peel the layer, right? So that's what I like. I like the base structure of I am, because some people have to start with something simple.
Yeah.
Because we're talking people who probably don't have any concept, or people who are in the negatives, right? What foundation can we give to people who are trying to figure out positive affirmations? Like what's the first thing that you would say if I'm like, listen, Trev, I'm lost. I don't really know what I want right now. I don't know where I'm headed right now. Like, what would you tell me in terms of something that I could say positive about myself, or where do I start?
I would say, if I were to give you a statement to say, I would say the only statement you should say is I am loved by God. I am loved and I am favored. Like, and you say that. And the thing is, I would even go as far to say, I don't even care if you believe it. I still want you to say it. Right. And then I would tell you to go a week saying that every single day to yourself. And I would say, look yourself in the mirror and say it, even if you don't believe it. Right. You go a week of saying that I am loved by God and I'm favored. And you say it every day, regardless of if you believe it or not.
Right.
I promise you'll have a good week. I promise you.
Because you put it out there.
Yeah, I put it out there. But also, though that type of language, and I mentioned this earlier, right? It's from the Bible. Like that's a biblically referenced, like that. Those words are sequenced from the Bible.
Oh my God. So I want to kind of go back to what you were saying, because you brought us back. So we're going to stay back there.
Go ahead.
So where you said the more that you speak the Bible, you start to talk different.
Absolutely.
And it could be literal because
Mhm.
I read the King James version, and sometimes I catch.
I love that. I laugh just because when you read the Bible enough and you're familiar with the different versions,
Yeah.
you know why what he just said is so funny.
But
So you talking these and thous.
these and that unto. So I'll catch myself even
Yeah.
on that. But just when you look at how a good king, I'm not gonna say all kings, but you look at how good kings, when you read about them and see how they carry themselves and their confidence, you want to emulate that,
Yeah.
right? That's an affirmation. If you're reading about a good king and you're like, I want to be that,
Mm-hmm.
I am this king. That's an affirmation in itself.
Absolutely.
I want to have faith like Joseph. That's an affirmation in itself because now it's already giving you direction. It's giving you direction. You may not know what you want to do in life quite yet, right?
Right.
But at least you have direction, and now you're strengthening yourself for wherever your desires are going to carry you.
Oh, that's so good. Man, that's so good. Because I think what you just said points to the fact that affirmations can be anything. As long as they empower you. Like one of the funny, and this is like telling you all my business, but it's okay, you my mans. So one of like, I would say my funnier affirmations actually comes from a DMX song. So he has a song called Who We Be. And so one of my statements I always say to myself when I'm facing a hardship or whatever, I say, Trev, you know who you be. Now again, terrible English.
No,
I know that.
That's good though.
But that statement makes me feel really good. That statement reminds me of who I am and what I'm capable of. And so for me, I leverage the power of my words by making sure I say that to me, the inner man, the spirit man of me, whenever I'm in the midst of, you know, a hardship, or I might be wavering in remembering who I am in a situation. So I say that to myself to uplift and empower myself.
Well, and that's like a moment that, you know, Moses had, right? In the beginning where he lacked confidence. He needed all of the ammunition possible, all the affirmations possible, because he's like, who am I to do this?
Yeah.
And God is saying, who are you not to?
Man, that's so good.
Who are you not to? Yeah. I've spoken this over your life. So if I spoke it over your life, because we were talking about thoughts, right? We're talking about, is it thoughts of God or thoughts of the enemy? Thoughts of Satan, right? So if God is saying, well, I didn't ask you, you know, if you can. I'm telling you, you can.
Right. I've already told you can.
I've already told you. And guess what? I've already set up the plan.
That's right.
I already aligned you with someone that's going to help you speak. And you don't, and get this, I'm going to speak through you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you everything. And that's kind of like, that's how God's love and his grace is, because if, let's just say he wasn't graceful and merciful, and Moses said that, he could have said, all right, be gone. I'll find somebody else.
100%. 100%.
But God's not a quitter.
Yeah.
So if we're made in his image, we're not quitters either.
100%. And I think your point highlights what we talked about earlier about how there's the three voices. God's already said it. He already has the plan. So you just have to take responsibility over your voice in your own head, and align that language with whatever God says. Whatever God says in terms of your identity, whatever God says in terms of your ability, and whatever God says in terms of your capacity.
Exactly. Give the full authority over to the Spirit, and you need to take full dominion over your flesh.
Absolutely. And I think to anyone, just another practical tip to, you know, well, how do I create affirmations that really matter to me? Whatever gets you excited when you say it, right? Whatever thought comes to your mind about you, whether it's about your identity, your actions, your ability, capacity, like anything like that, if it gets you excited, double down on it. Say it more. Say it often. Say it loud. Say it in the mirror to yourself. Tell your friends, hey, this is who I am.
Start there.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Because I think so often society, I think affirmations are a wonderful thing, but I think there are times where it gets like commercialized. Yeah. Right. And so that's why we laughed earlier about like the I am statements, because like that's kind of a cliche but still commercialized type of thing where like for person A, saying I am strong may change their entire destiny. It might change their entire life. Person B might say I am strong and it's like, Like
Right.
you're right, same words,
Right.
but they hit different for different people. And so
Exactly.
it's like you want to find words and language that align with the faith side, that align with what God says. But you want to make sure that it excites you, right? Like it actually gets you excited to do something.
And if that's the case, if you're sniffing in a certain area and you start smelling the food, maybe I'll go in that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if, and I like to, Marco Polo, right? And your eyes are closed and you hear Marco and then you start going closer and that sound gets louder. It gets louder. Like if I am thinking of something, I'm like, where do I want to start? And I'm thinking of something and it makes the light bulb go off. Okay, that may not be the specific thing, but that's in the right direction.
Yes.
So let me see what's in there. You know what I'm saying? Like how, people will go in majors. They don't know, but they'll just do the basic major. I like communications, but let me see what's in communications.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, try to start at the foundation, start at the base level, because that allows it to be broad, and allow it, as you dig in, you can start shaving away the things that you don't care for and start keeping the things that you do care for.
Yeah. And I think too, I'll even add, you can't afford not to do what we're talking about. And the reason why you can't afford not to is because our default as human beings is only to survive, not thrive. There are studies behind this. Like mentally, your brain is only designed to survive. And so when it comes to doing things that improve your life, when it comes to doing things that more than likely God's calling you to do, they're scary things. There are things that make you uncomfortable. There are things that are going to require you to dig deeper into who you are and to really discover who you are. But that goes against our natural wiring. And so if you don't have language that allows you to push through your brain's normal function, then you're never going to reach, you're never going to attain, you're never going to achieve anything that you are actually supposed to achieve, because you did not take the time to actually just think about, what can I say to myself consistently that aligns with God's word that excites me?
Oh my gosh. Bro, hold on. No, hold on. Yo, wait. Yo, you just started. Is this a sermon? I'm like, oh, did we start another video?
Hey,
crazy,
man.
Bro. What? First of all, like that's low-key the Adam effect.
Low-key
the Adam effect, because he forced us to have to work for everything, right?
Yes.
And like you said, survival. Now it puts so many people within the box, right? You don't really see the outskirts of what God's really calling you to do, because you're like, well, that's too risky. There's no way I could do that, because I got to do this. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of this. Not knowing that whatever God is calling you to do outside of the box is going to take care of everything and more.
Man. What?
Everything and more.
And consistently, whatever God calls you to is going to call you out of the box and is going to take care of everything.
He calls you to be outside of chains, not in it.
Man, listen.
Yo, that was good though. That you taught me something. I thought you were trying to just teach me. I thought you were just trying to teach me. I received it.
That's so good. I received what you just said. He called us to be out of chains, not in them. Man, listen.
I love it.
I hope you guys got value out of this conversation, because as you could tell, we had a blast having it.
I love it. I love it.
Wow, this is powerful. Well, look, I will encourage you to just share this conversation with somebody, because I'm willing to bet that somebody needs to hear something that was said here on this in this conversation. And so be sure to share it. I'm sure if you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, all of that fun stuff. If you're listening on a podcast platform, be sure to leave a review, so that way more people can see this and hear this conversation. As you prepare for next week's episode, go check out last week's episode. And always remember, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. We'll see you guys next week.
Amen. Love you.